Morning, folks. It's Tuesday morning. It's the last week of turkey season, and came through last night and saw a couple gobblers up in this patch of woods. And I know they went over and roosted on a neighbor's property, but just gonna sit here and see if we can't call them in. A couple good pieces of property here off in front of me that they like to roost, and behind me that they also like to roost. And I'm hoping this is kind of like a middle ground intersection that I can maybe get on a bird. So stick with me.
So guys, I've been sitting here just patiently working. Unfortunately, I did not hear any birds off the roost at either of the locations that I thought were the good roost locations. Again, I know this is a good intersecting area that has good turkey activity. So I'm just going to go ahead and ride it out, just try to do some occasional soft calling and see if I can get one to strike up. Well, guys, the dreaded miss. This bird completely took me by surprise. When I had heard him gobbling and going down over, I was able to look across the hollow and see him coming down over the bank, and I thought he dropped down into this bottom. So I completely positioned myself to be turned, which fortunately for left-handed, I'm still across body if he does come over here, which is in fact where he did. But my camera and everything was positioned more looking down over for if this bird pops right up over the bank, it's going to happen quick. And next thing I know, I look and hear something, and I see that bird jumping up on top of that down tree and pops down. And I try to get repositioned and try to get the camera moved. And next thing I know, it steps out and busts me, and you start hearing those alarm putts, and it just kind of takes off. And I go ahead and fire one off that I shouldn't have, and I think it was a little bit behind it, possibly. Clean miss. And then on the next one, I'm thinking, okay, he's coming across this opening, and I tried to time it perfectly, and he zigged, and I thought he was going to zag, and instead he cut up through the brush, and again, another clean miss. But all hope is not lost. When that's going on, I hear another gobble go off that tells me there's another bird in the area. And it was just the previous year that with my boy Mason that he missed one gobbler with a group of 3 right in front of us. A little bit of patience, a little bit of soft calling, we were able to work them back in. I'm going to see if that's something I can do here and try to redeem myself. So guys, I've been doing soft calling. I've ended up getting now 2 birds to light up and start answering me back after I missed that previous bird. But I've just been doing occasional soft calling, hoping that that would go ahead and bring them in. But next thing I know, as they're gobbling, it sounds like they're getting further away from me. And so at this point, I say, okay, I got to change tactics. I start getting super aggressive. They just start hammering back at me. And let's see what happens next.
You know, it's been a long season. It's been a hard season. I've been working hard trying to get West Virginia birds. First bird, I end up having to crawl in on him, and he was henned up over a bank and was able to take the shot and harvest the bird. And then this one here, I ended up getting him on cell cam yesterday, I think it was, with another gobbler and a hen. So I knew they were in the area, and then last night I went to roost them and actually saw them again on the neighbor's property and knew where they were probably going to go roost. And then went in this morning, got in a little intersection area that's between two big roost areas, and heard the birds coming in, worked them, and I tell you, I got caught off guard. I eventually heard one spit and drum, and I looked off in the distance and saw him drop down into a bottom and was coming up my left side. And I kind of panicked a little bit and spun the camera, and I thought, you know, I'm not going to get hardly any footage of this bird. And when he does pop up, it's just going to be bang, you know, as soon as I see his head pop up. But unbeknownst to me, as I'm watching and scanning heavily, I hear something in the brush off to my right, and I see something. And when I turn, not 20 yards, another gobbler had eased through the thicket behind trees and jumped up onto a downed tree. And when he jumped down, I spun the camera, and he saw me. And then I was panicking, trying to get the camera on him, and he started putting and taking off, and I took a shot and shouldn't have. And luckily, I think, you know, it was a clean miss, and the birds ran off. But as I shot, I heard another gobbler in the distance that sounded off. So I thought, you know, there's still a chance. A few years ago on my boy's bird, he ended up missing. I had 3 gobblers I'd called in, and I was able to pull 2 back in, and he was able to harvest his first bird. So I just kind of got patient, kept trying to work that distant bird, and I think this bird and the other one joined back in with him, and eventually started working away from me, and I got real aggressive on my calling, and could tell they turned and started coming back, and I saw some movement up there, so I quieted down, and I wanted to make sure that they started to get a little bit nosy and have to come in and be curious and look for me. And you could see on the footage of him and another gobbler kind of jumping up over trees and working their way through a thicket, and then come off to my right. When he jumped up on another tree, I was able to harvest him. So I tell you, it's been a tough season. I'm tagged out in Ohio, I'm tagged out in West Virginia now. First year I think I've ever got 3 birds. Very blessed, super happy to have a family that supports me doing what I love to do. So guys, stick with me. You're watching Passion for the Wild and Wonderful, and I'm Chris Ashley.